What's up, folks, and welcome to this week's episode of the Pilot Review Show. I am Captain Blade J52, and I am joined by my merry band of misfits. We have this week with us the man with the RP, Artie.
Hey guys.
And we also have our illustrious TeacherKirby.
Illustrious. Ooh, I feel so special.
And
Hi.
Boss Man in the chat out there as well. So, got a good bit of stuff this week for you guys, especially, and we're actually on a Voth bridge this week. We'll be able to see why that is in just a little bit. But let's go ahead and get into this stuff. We have our Gathering of Wills blog. This is the RP blog where we first see our General Rodek talking with the Lukari. Everything. I've not really had a chance to read through this one, but believe didn't you say you read through this one already, or one of you guys said you read through it?
Yeah.
I did as well. Was it bad that I heard Tony Todd's voice in my head as I was reading this?
Not really.
No, I think it actually improved the experience.
It did.
But yeah, what's some of your guys' thoughts on it and everything?
I feel like it actually gives us a little bit more of a good background for when we actually get the expansion. I feel like this is going to be a real good thought out and made concrete story, really.
Okay.
Yes, I like how it definitely shows that the KDF and the Lukari are building a nice relationship. Rodek at least seems to respect them, and to respect Kumarke especially. So, or respect, not Kumarke, the, who was it, the ambassador?
Word's hard.
Anyway, no,
Yeah.
I'm looking for, yeah.
Yeah.
The person he was meeting with, who I can't remember the title of right now.
I can't remember the Anu, I think is the name.
Yeah, but there was a title. Anyway.
Oh.
Colonel. To the Colonel Ta'anu.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, he definitely seemed to have a respect and insist on respect from his, from those around him for those, and yeah. Definitely. It's interesting the Lukari have a lot of experience with protomatter, it seems. And yeah. So this definitely paints a little bit of background, and I like it.
Oh yeah.
Seems like a pretty healthy blog, and it's pretty interesting points there. I'll have to read this after the show myself to kind of bone up on the new happenings out there in the galaxy and everything. But moving along to our next big announcement and everything that is coming along, we have a new R&D school coming for you guys. This is the Kits and Modules Research School. So, for those of you that like to level your R&D, or you've wanted to craft kit modules, you wanted to craft your frames, now you're actually going to have a chance to do so with this new school. It's currently on Triple at the moment. I would advise you guys to get over there, kind of check it out, kind of plan ahead. In addition to this, they are also bringing in a new type of R&D leveling tech, which was the kits and modules tech. So you'll have another type of token to get ready for. If I'm remembering the exact materials you need, I think it is 1 Craylon gas, 1 handheld module, and it's whatever the other ground weapons thing is. But yeah, you can do that, you can create your techs, and that's the big thing that you're going to want to get prepped for as well. Everything. But, any thoughts from you guys on the new school?
And I don't mean this disrespectfully at all, but it's about time. No, we've had the crafting schools for a very long time. At least it seems like a very long time to me. from my perspective. And the one thing that was always glaringly missing was the kits and modules. And so, yay! Yeah, can't wait. Glad they did it. I think it's going to be interesting how they handle or what types of modules they're going to have available to craft each profession. Um, yeah, I think that's going to be very interesting. So, yay! I'm happy we can finally do it.
Yeah, I wonder if it's
So
going to
yeah,
change the already already the kits that have already been upgraded. Like, would you still be able to use the upgrade tokens that you've already been using, or would you definitely have to switch to the new one when it comes out? That I understand that we'll definitely have to use it the new ones when it comes out, but it's a good question because people may get confused as from what I've seen when they were first realizing that they can upgrade them. So,
It actually
eh.
gives us a thing on that here in the blog. I'm glad you mentioned that. It says, with the
Ooh.
addition of the kits and modules, research school dynamic kits and kit modules can no longer be upgraded via ground tech upgrades. Universal as well as the kit modules may be used to upgrade these dynamic items. So it looks like the major change that they're doing is the ground tech will no longer be able to upgrade the kits and the kit frames, which kind of expected. But all of your universal
yeah,
stuff, this means your Phoenix boxes, anything you get from Admiralty, maybe duty officer assignments, or even the upcoming Omega Techs, you will still be able to use those to upgrade your kits and everything. So that's the only thing that's changing as far as that goes.
Well, that's good.
I also wonder, and I haven't looked at it yet on Tribble. I need to. I'm behind. I gotta go over and do that. Is what special kit modules and frames they're gonna unlock when you get to level 15
That is
that you
a
can craft? Because like, yeah, that's a good question. Because like your beams, you had the omnidirectional. Your ground, you had the TR116B. You know, your cannons, you had the wide arc.
Then you had the
So,
Aegis set and all that. Yeah.
yep.
so what's gonna be the deal with the ground kit modules?
Hmm. Are we going to get like some super epic career specific kit module? Hmm.
Well, what I'm seeing here in the blog at least hints at it. I'm not sure if this might be it, but item engineering kit module passive medical field, but it could just be referring to that the when you put down uh,
The
the
construct.
construct that it's a passive at that point. But so I'm not sure. I'd have to actually look at it on Tribble, and I haven't gone over there since yesterday. So, and yesterday I was setting stuff up. Bad Kirby didn't do
It
her
does tell
homework.
a little bit about the trait I see here in the blog. It's the Techophile
Yeah,
upgrade, which gives a large kit performance boost on using a kit module ability for a short time.
that
Looks like
looks like
pretty
the
small.
personal trait.
That's
Yeah.
the personal. Far as the other stuff, we'll have to do some testing for you guys, and we'll have to let you know. I didn't. This is the one thing I didn't really have a lot of time to get in some testing with on Tribble. I was more focused on the Lukari stuff, seeing how that's going to change. Definitely love it, by the way, but we'll get to that in just a minute. But
Looks like
that's our kit module stuff. I would definitely advise going over there as well, like I'm sure we'll do at some point. Get some testing in, kind of plan
yes.
ahead, that we can get ahead of the curve. But we'll have this in the notes for you guys to check it out, and definitely advise testing on Tribble as well. But moving along to our next big thing, we have the Lukari Restoration Initiative reputation. So this is a new reputation, obviously, that they're bringing about for the Lukari. It's got some pretty interesting rewards and everything. This will come along with Season 12 that's coming up. You'll have a couple of ways you can actually get marks for the reputation. You can go to the new Zenkethi Battle Zone and gather marks that way. You can also participate in the gravity kills and the Zenkethi front queues. So we're getting 2 new queues as well as the battle zone to work with. So very fun there. We're also getting a new 4-piece space set as well as a ground set that we can work with and a couple of weapons and whatnot. You can see some of the stuff here as I'm scrolling down. But before I give any further comments about what I've been seeing, Teacher and Artie, what's some of your all's thoughts?
It does look like it's going to be focused on drain. On Drain X, on increasing drain, increasing outgoing drain effectiveness, resistance to drain, and it does say it provides resistance to a bit of radiation damage, so I would imagine that might have something to do with the Zenkethi. Because I know some of their things provide like a radiation debuff when they die, that kind of thing. But yeah, it looks like there's a lot of drain, kinetic resistance, mobility and regen buff, that kind of thing. So it does look interesting. It looks to be a little bit tanky. Not as much as some of the other things we've seen, but a little bit. And then resist touch ground damage, that's definitely Zenkethi based, and then provides an extra heal. The interesting thing, they have enhanced shield emitters that can cause them to heal nearby ally shields passively in addition to their own, which is kind of interesting.
Is the space set you're reading from?
Yeah, that's the space
Okay.
set, the shield that I'm reading from. They do overcharge the aux and the shield power with the warp cores and the singularity core. So you can have 135 aux and 135 shield, and gives a bonus to shield power. So I mean, it's pretty interesting. I'd like to see how it all works together, which is what we were setting up last night, so we can go and play with it tonight. And but yeah, and then there's a few bonuses that the point jump looks interesting. Basically, you select a target and jump there.
Absolutely.
So
There's a couple more things
yeah,
whenever I
that
get
looks
to
interesting.
my comments. I'll tell about that. But anyway,
Yeah, I haven't really delved a bit into Tribble any of this stuff firsthand, but from what I've seen in the blog, it all looks very nice. Personally, I like the reputation trait at the very end, and when you get to tier 5. Basically, from what it says here, the piezoelectric, my bad, that's Pezzo? I can't pronounce that.
Piezo.
Alright, piezoelectric perimeter snare. From what I can tell, it's a ground trait, and what it does is
Yes.
snare and root your foes are in a nearby area, so I'm basically gonna go, yeah.
We were talking about this on my TeamSpeak, and it says it creates a patch of mechanical tendrils. So I imagine in my head, and I haven't seen it, but I imagine in my head, all of a sudden you get this patch, what looks like long extended grass with suckers on it.
oh god, no,
This
no,
is
I know
my
where this is going.
imagination, right? And so somebody walks on it and it grabs them by their ankle.
Now, if it doesn't come with a girlish scream when someone's grabbed, I'm not satisfied.
Oh,
oh
awesome.
god, he went there. He totally went there.
And
I mean,
then
wouldn't
they
you
get,
freak out?
And then they get electrical burns. So then you see the electricity going up and they get burnt.
Welcome to Pilot Review
I
After
mean,
Dark.
this is my imagination. Isn't that great? Hey, we're just going with what they said. I have not said anything after dark. But, yeah, so this is what I imagine in my head. And then eventually, because, you know, these things only last for a short amount of time, it just fades into nothingness.
But
This is
yeah,
what I imagine, you know? And so I hope it lives up to my imagination.
likewise, that's just funny.
I'm
I
sure
know,
that'll. I'm sure it'll be interesting. And
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
of these stuff I've actually observed. Everything, of course, being more of a tank type person, the survival and the healing, everything does kind of appeal to me more. So glad to see some of this stuff. But what I've actually found in testing with the Lukari traits, testing with the equipment and everything, and this may come as a shock to Kirby because she knows how much I love the Kobali set, I have found that this is actually keeping up with the Kobali set very equally. Perhaps
Nice.
even some cases actually providing more benefits than the Kobali set does.
Nice.
What I'm seeing is that in the case of the Kobali set, of course, you know, you've got the console that I like to use. And then, of course, you've got, as far as the actual Warp Core shields, that stuff, you've got the heal that comes from the Warp Core for your shields, and can heal allies as well. Then you've got the 4-piece ability that can also heal yourself and allies. What I'm seeing is that, whereas the Kobali set is more burst healing, which is very, very good, the Lukari set prefers to negate a bit more damage up front and also grant you healing over time. And it can
Okay.
do that by some of the procs that it gives. It's doing that by also cooling down your bridge officer powers a lot quicker. So it negates a bit more up front than the Kobali does, but it also grants the healing a bit more over time, whereas the Kobali prefers to just do a burst heal and negate a little bit less up front. So it's kind of the polar opposite, I guess, is where I'm going with that.
Heals over time is always good.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
From what I'm seeing from the weapons and everything as well, I took the beam array and the console, everything out to test that for the space stuff as well. As far as Polaron, what I'm seeing, and this may come as a big shock to some people as well, with a full Polaron build, this includes, of course, you know, using a couple of fleet Polarons, using the Delta Polaron, the chronometric set, all that stuff that I could get for it. I was actually doing a complete shutdown on the enemies in Starbase 24. It was a complete shutdown on the NPCs.
Interesting.
So it was draining that much. And here's the other shocker. With all of that, you add in something such as a command ability or warp bubble to further debuff their damage. And feedback pulse was not needed in order to kill them. They were just doing so little damage that feedback pulse wasn't really doing anything. I mean, definitely it was nice to have, but I was able, if I wanted to, I could have swapped it out for something else.
Sounds like
Right.
something I need to use against a PvPer.
Well, it's definitely something interesting for sure. And for me, so far, it's looking like the second coming of the Kobali set. As scary as that may be for some people.
Interesting.
But definitely begs the some more testing and everything. Some of the traits, they do look good as well. The healing trait that it gives you for the reputation, looking like it's equal to, perhaps even a little bit better in some cases than Energy Refrequencer. But at the very least, I would hold them as equals, based off what I'm seeing so far.
Nice.
So you could combine them for extra healing to have even better, but it is definitely worth it. And then the other thing for the shields, and then I'll move on to our next big thing, is in a couple of instances when my shields did manage to finally drop, they were pretty much healing back to full instantly once all those procs went off. So it's definitely going to be a great set for folks to try out for sure.
Sounds like it, definitely.
Yeah. But,
You
Oh, go
wouldn't happen
ahead.
to know if they're going to have like duty officers on the battle zone to give a few extra marks, would you?
I've not seen or heard anything about that. They might have something like that, but I don't want to say for sure one way or another at this point just yet.
Okay,
Because whenever I was testing as well, they didn't even have the icons in yet, so there's probably still a little bit more they've got to go. And that could be
I
one
getcha.
thing. Yeah. So we'll definitely have this stuff in the notes for you guys. I definitely advise y'all to check out the Lukari stuff on Tribble and everything. Kind of plan ahead. Definitely test out the Polarons. If you're somebody that likes Drain builds or you just like Polaron, this is definitely something you're going to enjoy, I believe. But
Yes, definitely.
moving along to our next big thing, we have an XP weekend for PC captains. This is currently going on at the moment, started on Thursday the 19th, and will be running until Monday the 23rd at 10 a.m. And while this is going on, you'll be enjoying double XP everywhere in the game. So now's the chance. Get some of those tunes leveled you've been after. Squeak out some of those last few mastery points for your ship that you're wanting to get that trait. Whatever it is, now's definitely the time to do it.
Yes, definitely.
Any quick thoughts, guys?
I know. I'm happy for XP weekend. I have a few extra tunes I need to get to level 60, so it's always a good thing to use whatever bonuses you have. I do know that the XP weekend is so good that I believe a friend of mine decided to make a new Federation character, and all he did was skip the prologue, just grab everything up real quick, and he already hit like very close to Lieutenant Commander just before even leaving Starfleet Academy.
Yep.
So it's pretty easy to get XP now. So go hit it.
Yeah, and to further answer a question in chat, it was this 19th, so this Thursday is actually when it started. It's going to be going until this Monday, so you still got a little bit of time to take advantage of it. All day tomorrow, and then until they actually cycle the event out on Monday morning. So there's still a bit of time to take
Yes.
advantage.
That would be 10 a.m. Pacific time.
Yes. So
So, there you
definitely get out there, run your space patrols, run your missions, run whatever it is you like to do, and definitely some good stuff there. Moving along, we have our tiny little patch note for the PC for the 19th. Everything. I say patch note because there's only really one little thing that they had, so resolved an issue where 23rd century captains still had access to the winter map. All 23rd century captains will be automatically moved off this map upon login. So, if you were a 23rd century captain, you may have logged into that character and noticed, wait a minute, I'm still in Q's Wonderland, how the heck am I still here? Well, that's supposed to have been fixed, you should now be moved off and everything. And also, a couple of known issues they do have. Some maps with reflections from windows may have visual issues, and KDF captains can't wear some of the winter scarves. So, not really much to it this week. Any quick comments from anybody?
Well, I gotta say the Winter Wonderland thing was kind of funny. You couldn't go around and see. One of our guys did have it happen to him. He was still in Winter Wonderland, and he was just having a blast. He couldn't go around and earn any of the winter commodities, but he was able to do one thing, but it didn't give any of the snowflake or
The baubles
the
and
bullying
stuff.
candies or the candles or any of that. So yeah, but he couldn't do anything. But he was just having a blast right around, going, "Can I do this? Can I try this? Hey, this doesn't work either." You know, he couldn't really get into anything, but he was having a blast trying.
Yeah.
But
My joke to it is that I guess you could say those 20th century captains are behind in the times.
See what he did there.
yeah, I see what he did there.
But yep, and Also, to answer a big thing in chat as well as seen again, like I say, if you're having issues with bugs, stuff like that, I would definitely advise and encourage actually for you to put something in on the bug forums. They do actually read those. I know the rest of the bug hunters do too. That's, as I've said several times in the Buggy Corner, that's where we get a lot of our reports from, actually. I know that feeling, dude. I don't like to go to the forums any more than I have to either, but yeah, that's, like I say, that's one thing I would encourage you to do. But moving along, we have our,
Yes, definitely.
what looks like more K-13 special holding unlocks. Ooh, project second floor access. Okay, this is going to be interesting.
Uh-huh.
So, if you're somebody that's been keeping up with the special projects for your K-13, and you're wanting to kind of pretty the place up a little bit and play Space Barbie for your fleet, this is definitely a project you're going to want to do. It's going to be running for 2 weeks from this past Thursday, the 19th, all the way up until the 2nd of February. Now, we do want to mention, yet again, for people that may not have heard us say this before, as well as Cryptic talking about it as well, all you have to do, if you want to run this project, is you have to have it queued. It doesn't matter if it's the next project in line to take effect after you clear the current one out. As long as you have it set to go, you'll be able to complete the project. It does not take the project away once it cycles out, as long as you had it queued already. So even if you complete it 20 years down the line, assuming the game's still here by then you can still complete this project. I hope it doesn't take anybody that long, but yeah. So, thoughts on the project?
Yeah. You want to go ahead? Yeah. All right. From what I've seen, my base already has the second floor more or less completed. You just still have a spot at the ceiling we need to fix. But from what I can tell, it's a really good view for seeing the entire open central area. For roleplay reasons, you could have your character sit up there looking at the promenade, basically, and there's another meeting room up there, so it looks really good. You have one at top, one at the bottom, and if they're both used, you now can sit out in the lounge area just across the way. It looks really good.
Yeah, what I was going to say is as soon as I had people that as soon as they saw there was a second floor, they asked, are we going to be able to get up on the second floor? Are we ever going to be able to get up on the second floor? And I just had to tell them, I don't know. I don't know. Don't ask me.
Now we know.
Now I know.
Now we know.
Yep.
But most definitely, if you're somebody that enjoys these kinds of projects, this is definitely something to check out and everything. I know my fleet's probably going to do it as well. But, like I say, we'll have this in the notes for you guys. You can check this out and hopefully get the project up and running very quickly for your fleet as well. And pretty up your K-13 a little bit more. But, moving along to our next big thing that we have the Infinity Box update. Now this time around it brought over the Tier 6 Alachi ships from the console, which was the Tier 6 Esgoth and the Tier 6 version of the Monbosch. So it is the Tier 6 Ornash Battlecruiser is in the low-buy store, and the Tier 6 Esateth? How do you say that?
Sateth?
Sateth.
Yes. It is
Yeah.
ship choice in the Infinity Lockbox, yeah.
I never can
Sateth.
pronounce half these names whenever they do them like that.
Yeah, I know.
So, if you're looking for your Tier 6 versions of the Esgoth and the Monbosch, now you have your chance to go after those and everything. I've already got the Escort, thankfully. Everything. I just need to set it up and whatnot. And the other big thing that people were looking for before we get into some of the stats on the ships is we actually have the Kelvin lockbox contents have been added to the box this time around. So now you can actually go ahead and get your Kelvin Constitutions that you've been after for a while. So very, very good stuff there.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Let's take a quick look at our stats for the Satath Escort. At level 40, you've got 39,000 hulls, so you can open this very, very early on. At Max level of 60. It's 52,000 base hull, a shield modifier of 1.3, which is actually pretty good for an escort.
That's pretty good, yeah.
It's a 4-3 weapons layout, 3 device slots. For the bridge officer stations, we have a commander tactical, an ensign engineering, lieutenant commander science, 1 lieutenant universal / pilot, 1 lieutenant commander universal / pilot. So,
This is going to be a beast.
very, very interesting layout there for sure. For our console layout, we have 5 tactical, 2 engineering, 4 science. So a potentially, if you wanted to set it up that way, a bit more science heavy on the ship. Then 16 base turn rate, which puts it pretty close, if not the same as a Defiant. So if you wanted to, you could potentially run cannons on this ship. Then it can load the dual cannons, it says, so that's good. We have the enhanced crescent wave cannon for the console. And we have the escort mastery package of accuracy, defense, crit chance, and what is that? Well, it looks like there's a bit of a typo in the blog. It should be crit severity for the devastating weaponry, and then the enhanced weapon systems is critical hit chance.
Yeah.
But essentially what it's looking like from this, the enhanced crescent wave cannon is a potent secondary system. Utilized, it will drain energy from the ship's forward shields to fire a tremendously potent disruptor blast and can hit up to 5 targets. It says, while it is called a cannon, it is functionally a console and cannot be slotted into weapon slots. So, interesting thing there.
So that does mean that it will have a 2-minute cooldown. You know, and will be slotted separately in your device bar or your abilities bar, slotted separately from your weapons.
Yep. It looks like the passive bonus is directed energy damage and a bit of maximum shield HP, so definitely something good there. Then the trait is the Crescent Wave Discharge. While slotted,
looks pretty good.
Absolutely. While slotted, activating Beam Overload or any pilot ability generates a Crescent Wave counter for 2 minutes. After obtaining 3 counters, you will fire a devastating Crescent Wave blast at your target, dealing extreme disruptor damage and reducing their damage resistance. So, potentially, if I'm reading this right and understanding it right, is if you could time the console to coincide with this, you could essentially smack them with 2 very big disruptor blasts at one time.
Not to mention
You
whatever
could.
cannons you're running.
Absolutely.
Now, what I wonder, and this is something I know I know somebody more than just you, but Ed also has this ship. So my question would be, it says activating beam overload. So if you have a full set of, say, crit D3 over beams as your mods, would that beam overload count as triggering this?
That's a question that I get a lot.
Ooh,
And
that is a good question.
unfortunately, no, it does not. Sadly.
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah. Reason being is it counts the beam overload itself as just the buff ability, and it considers the overload you get from the proc as just to be that a proc and not technically a bridge officer power.
Okay.
yeah, that's
So-
why it goes with either that or the pilot abilities. I
Yeah.
see.
So, like I say, it does kind of suck that you can't get the procs, based off of the overmod, but I can also understand why at the same time.
Yeah,
But-
otherwise I would be going off like nothing.
Oh, yeah. The next ship we have is our Alachi Ornash battlecruiser. This is the Tier 6 version of the Mon Bosch, if anybody had that ship from back in the day. And looks like some pretty interesting stats. If you open it at level 40, it's 42,000 base hull, which is pretty huge for a ship at that level. And then at maximum level of 60, it's 56k for the base hull. A shield modifier of 1.2, which is, again, pretty
User
good.
in your channel timed out.
And it looks like our silent guest had timed out and exploded. But for our weapons layout, we've got a
Yes.
4-4 layout. 4 device slots. For bridge officer stations, we have a Lieutenant Commander Tactical / Command, 1 Commander Engineering, an Ensign Science, Lieutenant Universal / Command, and Lieutenant Commander Universal. So, definitely a more, in my opinion, tank-oriented type of ship. You definitely have got a lot of flexibility with the Lieutenant Commander Universal station. You could potentially run more science-y type abilities. You could do quite a bit with it, actually. Base turn rate of 10 degrees per second, so a little bit faster than what I'm used to seeing for cruisers. We have the console, the Universal Enhanced Elachi Subspace Transceiver. This ship can also load cannons.
User entered your
It's
channel.
the Battle Cruiser Mastery Package, so you get some physical and kinetic damage resist, some critical severity. Then you get the Enhanced Damage Resist, some maximum HP, and the Subspace Reinforcements trait. Now, if you remember the Subspace Transceiver from the Monbosch, this was the one that whenever you used it, it let you poof up the 2 little, I guess escorts you could call them, that would follow you around and blow some stuff up. But definitely a nice little console. It looks like maximum hull HP and a bit of damage resist is your passive bonus for the console. Now, it is a universal console, so you can put it in any slot that you want. And speaking of console modifications, I realized we forgot to tell that one. So, 4 tacticals, 5 engineering, and 2 science. So this seems to be a bit more tactical heavy on the ship. Then for the Starship trait, it says, while this trait is slotted, you suffer more than 15% of your HP and damage within a 3-second period. You will summon an Elachi support craft to aid you. Support craft is equipped with limited weaponry, but can provide support through healing. So that makes me wonder just how much healing we're talking about. 'Cause that could
Probably
be
like the hazard emitters or something like that.
potentially, which is still pretty good regardless.
Oh yeah.
Then we have a couple of set bonuses for equipping different things from the Elachi ships. If you have the 2-piece set, this comes from having 2 pieces. Either it's any of the 2 pieces. You could have it from the Cheshire. You could have it from the
Escort.
Thank you. You could have it from the Escort, or you could have it from the Battle Cruiser. So you've got 2 ways to get or a couple of ways to get your 2 set bonuses. I can't words today, apparently. So, for the 2 set, you have the Crescent Wave Efficiency. It prevents shields from being disabled after firing the Crescent Wave Cannon. So, that is very good for the Escort. And also for the Battle Cruiser and the Dreadnought as well. It's very nice. And the 3-set bonus looks pretty good as well. It grants Crescent Wave Cannon to your deployed Cheshire Assault Craft. So if you're somebody that has the Cheshire Dreadnought and you split the ship, then that's going to be a pretty potent hit as well. So,
Oh, now I just want to test that. Just getting all the
I
big
know,
hits on
right?
one target. Oh, that thing's going to burn for days.
yeah, they definitely outdid themselves with these particular ships. I've got to say, my hat's off to Cryptic on this. You've signed a few Zenkathi death warrants, I'll put it that way. But
I think they've signed more than just Zenkathi death warrants.
oh, definitely.
But yeah.
But definitely some good stuff. If you're a fan of the Elachi stuff, I would definitely recommend you check these ships out. We'll have this in the notes for you guys so you can check them out as well. But
Yeah.
moving along to our next big thing, we have a research and development weekend for our console captains. This started on this Thursday and will be running until Monday the 23rd at 10 a.m. Pacific. So if you're looking to gather up a bunch of R&D materials, you're looking to maybe level through your school's stuff, this is a good time to do that.
Definitely. Your R&D schools will give extra. Okay, can't speak today. We'll give
Research?
extra. Yes, we'll give extra research points. So you'll have definitely you'll level up faster through them. Um, yeah, just all in all, the short version of that, it's a good time to try to level up through the school.
Oh yeah.
Meds are kicking my butt tonight.
Yeah, to pick up after that, it's basically the same thing with like the double XP weekend, just for research and development. It helps everything out real well, and you don't have to worry about not getting as much as you basically put your buck into. So I think it's perfect for research and development, because that's always taking such a long time, really, when you get to the higher levels. So it's always a good boost, I guess.
And if you have stocked up any of the boxes you get after completing an STF, now would be the time to open them. You'll get a secondary box that gives an extra little bit of items as well.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah. So always a good time if you're one that stores boxes. Now's the time to open them.
But most definitely for sure. The next big thing we have is a little bit more information on our featured episode of Signs and Portents. And we see here it's making reference to the peaceful use of the Lukari protomatter technology, as well as talking about a bit of the differences between them and the Zinkethi that use it as a weapon. And we see that General Rodek is coming back for this one. And now this time around we have to unravel the mystery of the Lukari, and also the Zinkethi as well. Now this will be a featured episode, so it will be available to all players at level 10 and above, while it's a featured episode, so I would definitely advise checking that out. But, anybody have some thoughts on the new episode, potentially?
I personally cannot wait for it, because I want to see what the like the special items you can get from the mission. Like, is it going to help you with the rep material, or is it going to make things easier against the Tinkethi, or is it going to be like stolen Tinkethi items? Who knows? I can't wait for it, because if it's something that like you add protomatter to your ship, that's just going to be like a bonus right there.
Some
So it looks
potentially interesting
like-
thoughts.
Yeah, it points to some kind of mystery to unravel through a dangerous journey of discovery. So, it looks to be interesting. I'm definitely hoping for a blend of the kind of solve the puzzles and figure out the mystery that we had in Echoes of Light, and our normal shoot it and kill it kind of thing that we usually have.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Exploring is always a good fun part that I've seen done very well in this game, especially in the previous featured episode, because that was a very fun little holodeck trick thing, seeing how everything works out. I wonder if they're going to do something else like that with the new episode, or something along the effect of a puzzle. Yeah.
Oh god. That puzzle, I swear, that the first time I went through that until it clicked into my brain, it's like, wait a minute. Everything, and I realized how you do it, that just about had me raging at my screen hardcore, so...
Yeah.
Funny enough, I did
It,
when I first did it. It did not load completely for me, so I didn't see any people. So I had to like
Ooh.
wander around the entire blue area looking for someone until it came into
Lord.
range. So it was very fun. I was like, how is anyone going to
Yeah.
get this done? They can't see anything. And then
I'd
find out I
have-
had a bug.
Yeah, I'd have people come to me, PM me and go, I wasn't watching when the guy went around to the things. What's the pattern? And I'd have to tell him it's different every time.
I definitely
You
have to
click
say,
and watch it again.
whichever developers or developer, however many people was involved in this, Whichever one of them designed that, you are an evil genius. I swear, you are an evil genius. Because it definitely threw me for a loop. I have got to give them credit. That puzzle threw me for a loop. It's like, wait,
It
what?
did.
But yeah, like I say, we'll have some of this stuff in the notes for you guys. You can check out all the announcements and everything. But moving along to our budget build, we actually have a little bit of a treat for you guys. Something that I'm glad we could finally justify as a budget build and everything. We have let me bring it up here, a Voth Bulwark T5U budget build. Something I never thought we would be able to do, in all honesty. But with the Phoenix pack, we're starting to be able to debut more of these ships as budgets, do a little bit more with them for you guys and everything. Now, since the new Lukari reputation is Polaron based, I decided to set this thing up as a Polaron ship. Now, this is a mid-range budget, so for those of you that may not have seen some of the mid-range budgets we do on here, typically I assume a maximum EC spending limit of 30 million. Maybe you sold a pack of keys, you've got a little bit of EC left, or whatever it is you did to make the EC, and we also assume you have enough dilithium to take one item to epic quality as well. So, as far as what we have for our weapons, we're using majority Dominion Polarons. These come from the Boldly They Rode mission. Then we also have a Delta Advanced Thoron-infused Polaron Beam. Comes from the Delta reputation. So, the difference between this and a regular Polaron, of course we know Polarons typically have an energy drain, whereas the Thoron-infused procs a radiation damage buff, or a radiation damage ability. For our Dominion Polarons, they are a cross between Tetrions and Polarons, so they can proc a shield drain or proc a power drain, either or. Now they start out as Mark 11 blues, and you can throw them into the upgrade window to pick up 2 modifiers for free. This is the crit hit and damage modifiers that you get just by throwing them in the window, so very much recommend that. For our other 2 weapons, we have the Chronometric Polaron Beam Arrays. These come from the Time and Tide mission. Got a beam array and then an Omni in the back. And then for our tactical console, for the 3rd piece of the Chronometric set, we have the Chronometric Capacitor. That's a big thing that we have for our epic item. For our shields, our engines, our warp core, this is one that some of you have probably seen me use a lot as far as the budget builds. We have the Soul Defense set from the Midnight Mission. Now what made the Soul Defense set so good is the abilities that it grants for the set bonuses. Now the Impulse Engine will give a little bit of turn rate and defense percentage for free once it starts proccing, and it adds up to be a nice little chunk, so it's definitely not something to sneeze at. The deflector itself, it's kind of a basic deflector as far as the stats that it gives. Not really too much, in my opinion, that makes it stand out a lot, but because it goes with the set, definitely something to pick up. The 2 set bonus grants you 25 all energy damage resist and 35 kinetic damage resist, so it's essentially worth a free neutronium armor just by having the items equipped. Far as the 3 set bonus goes, it also provides a very substantial heal within range of yourself. It's a 10-kilometer sphere, and it'll heal a pretty big chunk of HP back. Around 13,000 is what I usually get back. Now it is affected by hull healing, so you might have a little bit more HP you get back than me. You might have a little bit less. And it can affect your hanger pets to some extent as well. So, pretty self-explanatory in my personal opinion on the set. As far as the warp core goes, we had to pick up a warp core since the Soul Defense set doesn't feature one. For our warp core, we have the Temporal Phase Overcharged core. This comes from the Butterfly mission. And what makes this one so special is if you were around for the Delta recruitment. then you're probably familiar with the Temporal Negotiator device. This essentially grants the same type of ability except in the form of a warp core capacitor. Whenever you use the capacitor, it cuts your bridge officer cooldowns in half for the duration. So, very, very good thing to have. Very great to use in an emergency situation. Far as the devices go, I like to think of them as personal preference, but some good devices that you can use. There's the subspace field modulator that you can get from the skirmish mission if you're a Fed character. Then we also have the exotic particle flood battery that you can get from the science R&D school or from the exchange. Very nice if you're using a lot of exotic damage abilities. We have energy amplifiers. These come from the beam R&D school. They buff your energy damage by 20%. So very, very good there. Then also, because of our Phoenix box, we have a red matter capacitor. Oh, go ahead.
Yep. Chris, I just wanted to correct you. Skirmish is available to all factions and does reward that subspace field modulator.
Sweet.
Yes.
So, definitely some good information from Teacher there, so it's pretty much for all the factions then, so that saves a bit of trouble. But yes, our red matter capacitor will give a buff to all of our energy. I think it's either 25 or 35, I think. I don't remember the exact number off the top of my head without looking. But
I believe it's 25.
I believe it's 25, okay. So 25 power to all of our subsystems. That's 25 power to shields, to weapons, to engines, to aux, which is definitely nothing to sneeze at. And the red matter capacitors, before the Phoenix pack, the only way to get that was through special promotions they would occasionally do, or have had one of the original codes from way back in the day. Now with the Phoenix pack having come back, we can now justify using these in budget builds again, which is definitely something that I'm excited about and glad to see. But like I say, devices, I like to think are personal preference. That's just some ones I like to use. For our engineering consoles, we've got some pretty basic as far as what you've seen for budget builds before. We have our sustained radiant field console. This grants a bit of hull healing as well as shield healing, and also some energy weapon damage. Now, this console comes from the Iconian reputation, and once you get into the higher levels of gear, in my personal opinion, this console gets outclassed very quickly. You could replace it with something such as the neural infusion circuits from Lobi, or perhaps even the tachyokinetic converter, either one. But definitely a nice console to have all around, especially starting out. Then we have the assimilated module that comes from the Omega reputation. This gives a little bit of crit chance, a little bit of crit severity, as well as some other nice buffs. This comes from the Omega reputation. And this one, again, I think can be outclassed at the higher levels of gear. And I like to replace it with the tachyokinetic converter once you start getting into the higher end stuff. But definitely even then, still a great console to have. Far as our RCS console goes, this is one of the conductive RCS consoles. This one comes either from the engineering R&D school, or you could pick it up off the exchange for usually pretty cheap. Now, this one has a shield healing proc, so this one we did have to buy from the exchange. It ran about 250k EC is what I paid for it, out of our 30 million, so not too expensive there. And it's one of those things, although I could have used a regular one, or I could have gotten one from a fleet holding, it's why have just one benefit when you can have two or more? So, on a ship like this, you're definitely going to want an RCS console. Then we also have a Plasmonic Leech. The Plasmonic Leech itself comes now from the Infinity Lockbox, or you can purchase them off of the exchange. I think I paid 3.8 for the Leech itself. So, not too terribly bad. Then we have the Universal Console that actually came with the ship. Now, this does provide a couple of buffs as well, but the big thing that it does is whenever you use this console, actually, go ahead and pull it up in the game for you guys so you can kind of see it. You can see some of the stuff that it does there. It restores you back to full health and everything once you use it. Reduces damage to shields by 75% for 10 seconds, and it's on a 2-minute recharge. So this console is essentially a second life, in a way, that you could say. If, heaven forbid, something happens, you get blasted out of the sky, you can revive yourself really quickly through this and get back into the action and the fighting. For our science consoles, we went with 3 of the Drain X x2 particle focusers from the Crenum Lab. These also give a damage buff to exotic abilities as well. But in our case, for the moment, we're using them more so for the drain effect, which boosts our Polaron drain. For our tactical consoles, we have obviously the chronometric capacitor from the Time and Tide mission. Now, our tactical consoles come from the Terminal Expanse mission in yesterday's war. So this is another way to get good tactical consoles. Now, these only do the plus beam damage type, so they will only affect beams. They won't work on cannons or anything like that. Now, the other big thing I will mention for yesterday's war is for that story arc. In order to see the Terminal Expanse mission, you will have to go through every mission prior to unlock it. Unlike the regular story arcs, where you can kind of see what missions are coming up next, kind of preview them a little bit, that's not the case with yesterday's war. So I do want to mention that way in case somebody goes and tries to replicate this build later on, they're not thinking, oh, well, where's the mission he's talking about? So, wanted to let you all know ahead of time on that.
Let me stop you there, because I do have actually a recommendation as a quick change. I would change those science consoles to the restorative, ones, because with the Drain X x2, that's fine. But with the exotic ones, those are only going to trigger to give you the damage boost whenever you use an exotic ability. The only one you have on there is Feedback Pulse. So that means it's only going to trigger to give you a chance to get the boost whenever you use Feedback Pulse. If you change to a restorative, then anytime you use a hull or a shield heal, so that means your hazard emitters, your engineering team, your science team, it has the chance to trigger the effect to boost your damage.
That is one possibility we could do. There's actually something I wanted to touch on whenever we get to our buff powers in a minute. But you're right, that is a good recommendation that we could do. Far as hangers, I typically consider those personal preference. But in this case, I would probably just stick with the ones that the ship comes with. So it does have a hangar bay. But check out our skills really quick, because those are easy to explain. As far as the skills go, like I say, I think of skills a bit of personal preference as well. This is the setup that I've found a lot of success with. You don't have to do it exactly like I do. Everything, you kind of see the lieutenant commander. Scroll down a little bit, you can see the commander and captain abilities that I have there. And then finally the admiral. Now, I don't like to use the ultimate abilities a lot. I feel you have to give up far too much to justify using them in a lot of cases. Now, if you're somebody that likes to use the ultimate abilities, by all means go for it. They're very nice abilities to have. They can be a lot of fun, and they can be a big help to your team as well. It just kind of depends on the build and the person, honestly. Specializations, I like to use Pilot and Strategist, with Pilot being the primary, mainly for a lot of the immunities that it gives and some get-out-of-jail-free cards. And then we also have Strategist for the buffs that it can give, as far as while you're in threatening stance, such as temporary hull, and also an AoE taunt that you can pick up later on. But getting into our bridge officer powers, we're going to take a look at these. Now, you do have a Lieutenant Commander Universal and an Ensign Universal on the ship, so you do have some flexibility that you could go with there. But for our dedicated stations, for the Commander Engineering, we have Engineering Team 1. for the whole healing and purging certain debuffs. We have reverse shield polarity for our recharging our shields. Then we have the emergency to weapons 3. This you either have to pick up from the exchange or get trained by an engineering captain. But the pads that you need to make those are very, very cheap, easy to make. You should be picking these up as far as just random R&D mats while you're leveling. For the emit unstable warp bubble, this is actually supposed to be rank 3. They've still not corrected this in the builder itself. This actually comes from the Delta Flight mission. Anything within 4 kilometers suffers a 42% debuff to turn rate and damage, so very, very potent. I've yet to see any hard upper limit to this ability, so if you could conceivably Gravwell 50 ships together, you could debuff all 50 of them. For our Lieutenant Science stations, we have a Science Team 1, purges certain science debuffs such as the subnucleonic abilities. Then we have the Feedback Pulse. Obviously it sends a little bit of damage back and can be very nice to have. And then for our dedicated tactical station, we have a Chemocyte 1. This is going to run about 3.8 million on the exchange, or you could pick it up from the Infinity lockbox. And then we have a Fire at Will 2. Now for our universal stations, I saved these for last because of how flexible you actually can be with the stations. For our Ensign Universal, I went with a Hazard Emitters. Purges hazard debuffs, grants a little bit of damage resistance, as well as a heal over time. And then for our Lieutenant Commander Universal, you could run this as a science station, shift some of your abilities around if you wanted to. You could run it as another engineer, or you could run it as tactical, either or. We have Tactical Team to redistribute our shields and purge tactical debuffs. We have Attack Pattern Delta for the damage debuff that it can place. Now a quick note on Delta is that you have to be getting hit in order for this ability to work, or whoever you cast it on has to be getting hit. If you're not getting hit, it's not going to be that very effective. So that's one thing I did want to mention with that. Oh, go ahead.
It also does have a longer cooldown than Attack Pattern Beta.
Yes. So it can have definitely has a longer cooldown than Beta, and I think maybe Omega as well. But point being, you've got options. If you don't want to use Delta, if you prefer to use Beta, you can swap it out. And then we have a Fire at Will 3. You'll have to pick this up from the exchange, or it can be trained by a tactical captain. Now, one of the other builds I actually did consider, since you mentioned the consoles earlier, Kirby, was I had considered making that a science station and picking up a gravity well, which in turn I would have to shift my tactical abilities around a little bit. What I would have done in that case would have been on the Universal, I would have picked up a Fire at Will 1, and then for the Lieutenant Tactical, perhaps a Tactical Team 1 and then an Attack Pattern Beta. Or maybe even a Delta, just kind of depends.
Yeah.
But I did decide to go tactical route with that. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say I could see doing that. It would definitely make it a little more difficult.
But absolutely.
But yeah.
Like I say, you've got options and everything. What we show for the budget builds and everything are just general templates and ideas that you could do. You don't have to do them exactly like we do. The point being that we want to show people is that you have options that you can do on a limited budget, and ways that you can build ships without having to break the bank or invest a lot of money in the game straightforward. But as far as our traits go, these are pretty much straightforward. We have our ablative shell. Now this one is the one that would cost the most out of everything that we bought for the build. This comes off of the exchange or the Infinity lockbox, if I can talk. And it ran about a little shy of 8 million, but it gives a damage resistance and a heal over time for a brief period. We have our Beam Barrage ability. This comes from the Beam R&D school. Once you hit level 15, you get this trait. Then we have the Beam Training, which is free beam damage given to us, just any captain can have. Then we have the Elusive, which is also another free trait that you get. We have Last Ditch Effort. This is the tactical career-specific trait. If you're an engineer or a science captain, you would just swap out for your career-specific ability. Then we also have Point Blank Shot from the House Peg mission. We have Give Your All from the Engineering R&D School. And we have Imposing Presence, which is another free trait. And also the Operative ability for a bit of free crit chance and crit severity. Now the two R&D school traits, I assume that people are going to level 1 or 2 of the schools as they're raising up the character. So that's why I prefer to use those. For our Starship traits, we have the Improved Pedal to the Metal that comes from Pilot. And we also have the Best Defense, which also comes from the House Peg mission. Now what is so good about the Best Defense is it enhances your attack patterns to get a little bit of extra healing to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So very
Now
good
I am.
there. Go
Now I
ahead.
am curious. I personally would have traded out Elusive and put in. Oh, I think I exploded. Did I explode?
It's
Oh,
one
we
of
can
those
still hear you.
words.
Okay. Yeah, I would have taken out Elusive and traded it. Yay, I'm back. For, where is it? Fleet Coordinator? Yeah. For Fleet Coordinator, because that is just free DPS. That is, it gives you a buff based on how many players are in your party. And, you know, when you're going into an STF or you're going into something like a fleet alert, you're going to have people in your party. This just gives you free deeps. So why not take it?
It's one possibility. The other thing that
Yeah.
I'd considered as well, perhaps, if you don't really need it, you could also swap out Imposing Presence for Fleet Coordinator. I just like
Yeah.
to have Elusive for the free defense value because I'm one of those weirdos that likes to tank everything. But that is, as Kirby's saying, a viable option that you can do. Everything. That's why we have a lot of differing opinions and everything. Whereas
Yes.
I prefer more tank stuff, she's more DPS oriented. So we kind of give you
And I
guys
wanna-
more sides with that.
And I want to be clear here, I'm not saying that Darkblade's bad or anything, it's just a differing opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I say, that's one reason why we go over the budget builds together and everything, is so we can show you different aspects of the build as well. Whereas, like I say, I'm more of the tank type of person, she's more of a DPS type of person. So it's basically giving you more information, more ways you can adapt the ship to what you need and everything. As far as our space reputations go, I like to use actually the chrono capacitor array. This is one I found from the temporal rep that's pretty good. I think it's a 7% cooldown reduction on buff powers, so very nice.
Yes.
We have energy refrequencer. It takes a portion of damage you deal, and it also adds that as healing to yourself, so very, very nice. Also have the precision trait for free crit chance, and also the advanced targeting systems for free severity. So very, very good things to have. Now again, we don't have a fifth one slotted because we do assume that you've not yet unlocked those. For our active reputations, we have the biomolecular shield generator. Poofs up the green spherical shield in space, which adds a little bit of regen to your shields, and also a 20% damage reduction. Then we have deploy the sensor interference platform, which it poofs up a little sensor platform that taunts off of you for a few seconds or until it's blown up. Very nice to have in a pinch. Then we also have our quantum singularity manipulation. This will add a cloaking effect to your ship for a certain amount of time. You can fire just like normal. Your shields won't go offline, and it also buffs your science abilities. for the time that it's up as well. And finally, we have our anti-time entanglement singularity. This is a very nice thing to have. It creates a bubble at the affected area and slowly contracts and damages everything inside it. The combination we like to do is throw all of our exotic abilities first, also using the quantum singularity manipulation first, then we throw our anti-time for a bit of extra damage. And you'd be surprised at just how quick stuff melts when we do that. But
Exactly.
I also included in the notes where you can find everything as well. The total cost for the build in EC was $15.7 million, so coming in at just a little over half budget. And as far as the time it takes to gather the consoles and the weapon, I added up the total days, and it's going to take about a week to put the build together, just purely based on dilithium refinement limits and everything. And it also assumes you've got the fleet provisions and whatnot. But you can see the cost for our items and everything as well. Overall, it does pretty good and everything, I believe. But that's pretty much our budget build as far as that goes. Any final thoughts on the budget build?
Well, looks quite interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But yep, like I say, that's our budget build for this week. I did design it as well so that you could jump straight into the Lukari reputation later on once some of those weapons and everything start releasing. So that's something that we have. As far as our bugs go this week, got a couple I was able to find for you guys. Some people still having issues with deleting the emails, everything. If you are seeing this, please speak up so that they can get this fixed. That is a very game-breaking bug as far
Annoying.
as... Most definitely
Very
that too.
annoying bug.
Yeah.
And I'm going to put this out there because I did have this happen to me again after they said they fixed it, so I was a little annoyed. But one thing I did notice is that it happened when I tried to mass delete after actually looking and reading every single email. If I knew all the emails were I sold items in exchange, and I just went, okay, I sold a bunch of stuff, and deleted everything without looking at everyone, I was fine. It didn't kick me off. It was only when I looked at every single one to see what I had sold and then tried to mass delete that I get kicked off. So if you're one that likes to look at all of your exchange mails and see what you sold, I would recommend for the time being, don't mass delete. Because that's the combination that I'm seeing.
Absolutely. And like I'm saying, folks, definitely please report this because obviously it's not supposed to happen. If you are seeing this issue and everything, please post it up on the bug forums and everything. I can assure you, I know the devs read it. I know the bug hunters such as myself read it, which is where most of our reports come from, is folks like you guys and everything. For the other one, now this is one that is a bit newer. Everything that some folks were talking about. I may have touched base on this one before a little bit, but it seems more people are experiencing it. And apparently they're reporting a blue screen caused by ARC and STO. Now, from what I've seen, this can be related to some of the drivers they were talking about. One big issue that can cause a blue screen is if a driver is out of date, it's starting to corrupt, or something along those lines. But if you are seeing a blue screen, definitely try to get a picture of it and everything, because one thing a blue screen does is it's supposed to give a code for what exactly caused it. It may say stop and then a series of numbers, letters, and then you could look up the code and see, oh, well, it's this, and sometime it'll flat out say it's, well, whatever driver it is, and it'll tell you what you need to do to fix it, pretty much. So that's one thing I would say. If you are seeing this, that is a very, very serious issue that you guys are going to want to try to get reported as soon as possible. and everything. Because if it is the game doing it, they're going to want to know about that. But moving along, it appears a old favorite as far as one of the lesser bugs. Folks are floating over the chair in the Alachi bridges, the captain's chair, not actually laying on it like they're supposed to, but are floating in the air just above it or levitating. So, if you're a Space Barbie type of person, or if perhaps you're an RP person, I'm sure that can get very annoying.
Yep.
Also,
I
some
would
folks...
imagine that would get very annoying.
Oh, yeah. Also, some folks reporting they can't access the new Romulus reputation missions, having a few issues with that. If it is happening to you, like I'm saying, please report this, because they will want to know about that so you can continue to advance with the reputation and advance through what you need to get done. And then finally, we have one where people are reporting that they're having issues with the costume unlock for the Alachi Ornosh battle cruiser. Everything. Some of them not seeing it in the tailor for their ship. So if you are seeing this, again, or seeing any of these bugs, please let us know. Whatever the bug is, come onto the bug forums that they have set up. Just type in for your console, if it's PC, or Xbox, or PS4, whatever it is, and then let them know what you're seeing. If you can get video or pictures of what's going on, that's even better. That way they can have something as a point of reference whenever they try to recreate it so they can fix it. But that's pretty much what we've got as far as bugs this week. Everything, not too terribly much there. But this week for Teacher's Corner, I believe Kirby's got
It has
something
been
for us. Good.
updated.
Okay, good. It has been updated.
Yeah, it has been updated. Yeah, because I went out grocery shopping and didn't get a chance to update it until now. So, the Teacher's Corner for this week is the Temporal Operative Specialization Tree. I realized, and it's been a while since I realized it, I should have, or it's been a while and I don't know why I didn't realize it till now, but I realized that the Temporal Operative Tree had not come out when I did my Specialization Tree series and went through all of them. And so I have one for every tree except the Temporal Operative. So I went ahead and I talked you through every part of the Temporal Operative Tree, why everybody says it's so great and wonderful, and explain how all the stuff works to the best of my ability. And yeah, so hopefully after watching it you will understand just a little bit more why everybody says the Temporal Operative thing is dope, man. You gotta get it. So, there you go. That's my thing. I mean, even from the first point with Temporal Op, you're getting, extra DPS and whatnot. So it is a really good tree.
Gangsta Kirby in the house tonight. But we'll definitely have a link to Teacher's video for you guys. I definitely encourage you to check it out if you're curious about the Temporal Operative Tree. But moving to our final segment of the night, we have the RP Corner with Artie. Looks like, so you think your character is too meta. Take it away, Sir Artie.
Okay, so a recent thing that's popped up, and some people were questioning, hey, is your character just a little overpowered to be a good character? Well, I've got a few examples, and it's a little bit of a story time kind of deal here, but it's basic examples of how to check and balance your character so it doesn't become too meta, as one would say. Okay, using my own character as my first example, Artie is a experimental artificial intelligence. One could consider it a super artificial intelligence by just how massive her mind is. Someone seeing that immediately would go, is she just very good at everything she ever does? Well, I could say yes. She's really versed in many computer things. She has a holographic body. There's so many things that's just a that Artie is really good at. And then some people be like, but yeah, if you put her in a mission, she'll be able to do everything. We won't need anyone else. That's totally too meta. But here's the other thing. She's quite not diplomatic. She's in the position of, if you try to, if someone's being a bit of a troublemaker, she'll just, go, oh, the efficiency in this is just trying to talk you down would be insufficient to actually back you off, so I'll just smack you across the head and keep on going. That's not very diplomatic in some people's eyes, so that's one bonus to making it not very meta. The other thing is that she's not really good in interaction with people. Yeah, she's good in conversation, but like I said, she's very blunt in a very kiddish way. So that's a bit of my character's bad example. Another one, I'm going to use one of my friends that's an Anar. His character has run into a situation that he's basically lived about 30 years or something in like 20 minutes, and it kept on, he was stuck in a time loop for 20 minutes, but it went on to the extent of 30 years or something like that. And during that entire time, his Anar was basically training his his telepathic abilities. Basically, what he was going for was that through RP, he was improving his character in a easy way out. Although those 30 years wasn't fully, role played out, because then it would still be in that role playing event. It would be terribly too much to fit in the 30 years. That's insane for an RP event. So sped it up a little bit. He apparently figured out that his character became so well versed in his telepathy that it kind of went to not only telepathy but to telekinesis. Now we see him trying to train with that, and not being, I can read your mind, but now I'm having a tough time trying to diverse between crushing a person and crushing a door with my mind. That's going to cause some issues, most likely, with some people. So that's his little balance of power. He knows that he has a lot of power, but he doesn't know how to use it. So that can always go wrong in any sort of situation. Another one that a friend of mine came up was actually, it's more or less the same thing with two characters. Just one's an engineer. The other one, actually, the good Mako friend of mine. They're both in a seemingly normal kind of character. I'm always doing what I'm told. Nothing too dramatic. But when you get into their backstory, they've been in through a lot of bad luck that makes their characters very serious and delving into some pretty, what you would guess, meta stuff. For the engineer, he's gone through so many, repairing, fixing things, building starships, losing starships, going through the whole 9 yards over and over and over again, that someone would basically look at it, if this wasn't actually role played out, they would go, this engineer knows too much for how young he is and what rank he is. And it makes no sense, but due to those events actually happening and not just being, this is my character's backstory, you're going to have to deal with it, it's very understandable that an engineer would know a lot through experience. Now for the Mako, on the other hand, she started out basically with the Battle of Seoul. Iconic attack, everyone's dying, and there wasn't, it's like the special person of the bunch. It wasn't being, oh, I'm too powerful for this, or I know too much, or anything like that. It's the meta part of it is that someone would look at it and go, wow, your character's very lucky for being so, in such a bad situation. Sorry about that. 1 second. Alright, sorry about that. That was my dog barking. But back to the Mako thing, that this character would be like, you survived such a traumatic experience, how are you dealing with it? And people that wouldn't know about it, wouldn't know about the character's backstory, would basically see this as this character should be dead. Personally, since I actually looked into the character's backstory, I understand that there are a lot of lucky people that survived the Battle of Seoul. Obviously. Because if everyone went through that mission where you go back through time, you saw how big the battle was. Everyone lost something. You can't go through the battle and go, yeah, my ship was unscathed. That's bullshit, and everyone knows it. But that's besides the point. That point of being meta was you're very lucky for being just where you are. So it's nothing too big on that one. That was actually quite a mild meta, technically. And my last one really is an admiral who had the backstory so top secret that people his own rank level or with the same clearance doesn't have access to it. Most people will look at this going, wow, he's very secretive, something like Section 31 or who knows what. That's very like dark area for role players. If we don't know your backstory, a lot of people will start, not wanting to role play with you because they have nothing to really grasp onto except seeing the character. It's kind of hard to go up to someone that has no backstory whatsoever and go, hey, want to grab some coffee? Because it's like, okay, I know nothing about this person. I can ask this person about themselves and they won't tell me anything except saying it's classified. That's not going to really help getting you into another event to help out. But the flip side to it is that some admirals, as we've seen sometimes through TV shows and stuff like that, and some higher ups and things like that, may have restrictions in their biographical files, obviously, because you can't know every top secret mission that's on Wikipedia. I mean, you could search for even real life admirals, and you would know a little biographical information of them, like where they were born, their hair color, their favorite food, stuff like that. But obviously, you won't know like specific missions they were on. Yeah, you won't know everything. That's the understandable part. But when you have someone that literally goes, you would know nothing, not even what color his hair is, even if you're standing in front of him, that goes too far. Because then you have too much of a gap between it's too much of a I want to know this person so I can get some of this information so I can continue on with the roleplay to there's not enough there for me to grasp it in the first place and it'll be futile to even try. So it seems there's a point of having too little information and then having too much information is the other part of the meta. There's just so many ways a person could be considered meta or metagaming in the long words of it. But there's ways around it. There's you can talk to your friends about it, see what their thoughts are. If you actually role played it out and actually if other people have seen it in events, then it could be a little swayed here and there. Like for my own character, that's an artificial super intelligence that can do no wrong whatsoever. But people have seen her abilities in when they work, and other times when suddenly the abilities fail. So people know that my character Artie is not all-powerful God that can do whatever she wants with a snap of her fingers. So people understand that. What are you guys' thoughts?
Seems pretty interesting, like a good checks and balances system. Helps to keep everybody from being Q.
Yes, it is. And here I thought Artie was an all-powerful being who could do things at the snap of a finger.
Well, here's the other thing, if you want me to go a little bit further. Funny enough, my character Artie is at the rank of Chief Warrant Officer. If you don't know what a Chief Warrant Officer is, it's basically a special branch in any military, really. And for, at least from what I can study up on a flip to what a warrant officer would be for Star Trek reasons, or at least in Starfleet and stuff like that, it's the special rank that would be given to like quartermasters and special rank given to people that the Federation president would be like, wow, you did a really good job, and I need to keep you somewhere in a close cadre of people that I can trust. There you go, have this special rank. So Artie is one of those people that probably could get the ear of the president if she really could, but she probably can't. It's the other way around, most likely.
If she really could, probably can.
But it's the whole thing of
That's
someone
funny.
has to look. If someone sees a warrant officer or even a chief warrant officer or anything like that, they have to respect that person like it's an admiral, and that person has can control their life or death situations. Because if you look at them the wrong way, they're gonna give you the worst day of your life.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
But seems like overall a pretty good setup and whatnot for the RP stuff and good checks and balances, which gotta have it. But that's pretty much everything
Yes.
we've got for this week, folks. I know there was a lot to it, especially with the new reputations coming out. Some different thoughts that we had on that, so we ran a little bit longer than what we normally do. But with that said, folks, I hope y'all enjoyed the show. Hope you were able to get some good information and everything. If we hear more about any of this stuff before it releases, we'll be sure to let you know. Be sure to pass that on to you guys. But anyways, folks, for now, this is the Pilot Review Show, and we are signing off.
See ya.
Laters. Have a good night. Bye-bye. You can't see it, but I'm waving.
Lol.